I opened my front door at 11:47 p.m. on a Thursday night and immediately knew something was wrong. The living room lights were on. I always turned them off before leaving for work. And there was music playing softly from upstairs. Jazz. The kind my husband Mark liked to listen to when he was relaxing. But Mark was supposed to be at a conference in Seattle. He wasn't due back until Saturday. I set my purse down quietly and listened. Water running. Someone was in the shower upstairs, in our master bathroom. My heart started racing. Had someone broken in? Should I call the police? And then I heard laughter, a woman's laughter, followed by a man's voice saying something I couldn't quite make out. I knew that laugh. I'd known it for 15 years. It was my best friend Jessica. I walked up the stairs slowly, each step feeling heavier than the last. The bathroom door was open a crack. Steam was pouring out into the hallway, and there, hanging on the hook on the back of our bedroom door, was my white silk robe. The expensive one Mark had bought me for our anniversary last year. The water shut off. I stood there in the hallway, frozen. As the bathroom door opened wider, Jessica stepped out, wrapped in my robe, her wet hair dripping onto the fabric. She was laughing at something, turning back toward the bathroom, saying, "That was amazing, we should..." And then she saw me. Her face went white. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. She grabbed the robe tighter around herself like that would somehow make this better. "Megan," she whispered, "oh my God, you're not supposed to be home." "Clearly," I said. My voice sounded strange, too calm, like I was watching this happen to someone else. Mark appeared behind her in the bathroom doorway. He had a towel wrapped around his waist. His hair was wet. He froze when he saw me, his hand still on the doorframe. "Meg," he said, "I can explain." "You're supposed to be in Seattle," I said, still that strange, calm voice. "The conference was canceled. I came home early. I was going to surprise you." "Well," I said, "surprise." Jessica was crying now, mascara running down her face, mixing with the shower water still dripping from her hair. "Megan, please, this isn't what it looks like." I laughed. I actually laughed. "You're wearing my robe. You just got out of the shower with my husband. What exactly does it look like?" "My name is Megan Foster. I'm 38 years old. I've been married to Mark for 12 years. And I gave my house key to my best friend Jessica 6 months ago when she was going through a rough divorce and needed a place to stay sometimes when her ex was being difficult about custody exchanges. I gave her that key because I trusted her, because she was my best friend, because we'd known each other since college, and she was like a sister to me. And now she was standing in my hallway wearing my robe after showering with my husband. "How long?" I asked when neither of them answered. "How long has this been going on?" Mark looked at the floor. Jessica looked at Mark. Nobody looked at me. 3 months, Mark finally said. 3 months, a quarter of a year. All those times Jessica had come over for dinner. All those girls' nights where she'd cried on my shoulder about her divorce. All those times I'd console her, given her advice, let her stay in my guest room. "Did it start before or after I gave you the key?" I asked Jessica. She was sobbing harder now. "Megan, I'm so sorry. I never meant for this to happen. I never meant to hurt you." "Before or after?" "Before," she whispered. "It started before." So she'd taken my key knowing she was sleeping with my husband. She'd taken my trust, my compassion, my spare bedroom, all while she was betraying me. "Get out," I said. "Meg, please, let's talk about this," Mark started. "Get out." I wasn't yelling. I was still using that weird, calm voice. But something in my tone made them both move. Jessica grabbed her clothes from the bedroom floor. She didn't even bother changing out of my robe. She just clutched her clothes to her chest and ran down the stairs. I heard the front door open and close. Mark didn't move. He stood there in his towel, looking at me with this expression I couldn't read. Regret, fear, guilt, all of the above. "Meg, I know you're angry, but..." "Angry," I said. "Angry doesn't even begin to cover what I'm feeling right now. You've been sleeping with my best friend for 3 months. In our house, in our bed." "How many times, Mark? How many times did she come over for dinner and then stay after I went to bed? How many times did you use my work trips as an opportunity to bring her here?" "It's not like that." "Then what is it like? Explain it to me. Make me understand how you and Jessica ended up in our shower together." He couldn't. He just stood there, dripping on our hardwood floors, and he couldn't explain it. I want you out too, I said, tonight. Pack a bag and go. This is my house too. I don't care. Get out or I'm calling the police and telling them I found an intruder. You wouldn't. Try me. He must have seen something in my face because he finally moved. He went into our bedroom and started throwing clothes into a duffel bag. I stood in the hallway and watched. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just watched my husband of 12 years pack up his things because he'd been caught cheating with my best friend. Where will you go? I asked him. Does it matter? I guess not. Let me guess. Jessica's place. He didn't answer, which was an answer. How long has she been letting you stay there? All those nights you said you were working late? Meg dash dash. Just go, Mark. Just get out of my house. He zipped up the duffel bag and walked past me without looking at me. I heard him going down the stairs. I heard the front door open and close. I heard his car start in the driveway and pull away. And then I was alone in my house with the sound of jazz still playing from the bedroom and the smell of Jessica's perfume in my bathroom. I walked into the bedroom and turned off the music. I went into the bathroom and looked at the shower where they'd been together just minutes ago. There were 2 towels on the floor, his and hers, like they were a couple, like this was normal. I picked up the towels and threw them in the hallway. Then I stripped the bed, the sheets, the pillowcases, the duvet cover, everything. I carried it all downstairs and stuffed it into garbage bags. I wasn't going to wash them. I was going to throw them away and buy new everything. It was after midnight by the time I finished. I sat on my couch in my empty house and tried to process what had just happened. My husband was cheating on me with my best friend. The 2 people I trusted most in the world had betrayed me together. My phone started ringing. Jessica. I sent it to voicemail. She called again. Voicemail, again, voicemail. Then text messages started coming through. Megan, please let me explain. I'm so sorry. You have to believe me. It just happened. We didn't plan it. Please talk to me. You're my best friend. I blocked her number. Then Mark started texting. We need to talk about this like adults. I know you're hurt, but running away from the problem won't solve anything. I'm staying at a hotel tonight. We should meet tomorrow to discuss how to move forward. I blocked his number too. Then I called my sister Kate. She answered on the 3rd ring, her voice groggy. Megan, it's 1 a.m. What's wrong? Mark is cheating on me with Jessica. What? I came home from work and found them together. In our shower, Jessica was wearing my robe. Kate was silent for a moment, then I'm coming over. Don't move. Don't do anything. I'll be there in 20 minutes. She made it in 15. She burst through the front door in her pajamas and slippers and wrapped me in a hug. And that's when I finally started crying. I cried for an hour straight while Kate held me and let me sob into her shoulder. I cried for my marriage, for my friendship, for the life I thought I had that had turned out to be a lie. I gave her my key, I kept saying. I gave her my house key because I trusted her. I know, Kate said, I know. She came to our house for dinner every week. She sat at our table. She slept in our guest room. She knew Kate. The whole time she knew. And she smiled to my face and pretended to be my friend. She's a terrible person. They both are. How did I not see it? How did I not know? Because you trusted them. Because you're not the kind of person who looks for betrayal in the people you love. But maybe I should have been. Maybe I should have noticed the way Mark always made sure Jessica had a full glass of wine at dinner. The way Jessica always found excuses to touch Mark's arm when she was talking. The way they'd sometimes share looks across the table that I'd interpreted as friendship, but were probably something else entirely. How long did Mark say it had been going on? Kate asked. 3 months. 3 months, Kate repeated. That son of a... She said it started before I gave her the key, which means she took my key knowing what she was doing. She took my trust and my help, and she was sleeping with my husband the whole time. Kate got up and started pacing. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Tomorrow, you're calling a lawyer, the best divorce lawyer in the city. You're going to document everything. When you came home, what you saw, what they said, everything. I don't want to think about lawyers. I don't want to think about divorce. I just want to understand why this happened. It happened because they're selfish assholes who didn't care about hurting you. But why Jessica? Of all the women Mark could have cheated with, why my best friend? Kate sat back down next to me. Sometimes there's no good answer to that question. Sometimes people just do terrible things. I spent that night on the couch. I couldn't go upstairs. I couldn't sleep in my bedroom where they'd been together. Kate stayed with me, sitting in the armchair, refusing to leave me alone. Around 4 a.m., I finally fell asleep from exhaustion. I woke up 3 hours later to find Kate in my kitchen making coffee. "Morning," she said when she saw me. "How are you feeling?" Like I was hit by a truck. That sounds about right. My phone was on the coffee table. I'd unblocked Mark's number overnight without remembering doing it. There were 17 missed calls and 32 text messages. From Mark, from Jessica, from mutual friends, who'd apparently already heard what happened. "How does everyone know already?" I asked Kate. "Small town, big scandal. You know how it is." I scrolled through the messages. Most of them were from people saying they were sorry. They'd heard what happened. They were there if I needed anything. A few were from Jessica's other friends telling me I was overreacting and I should hear her side of the story. "Overreacting," I said to Kate. "They think I'm overreacting. Block them. Block everyone who isn't supporting you." One message was from our mutual friend Rachel. "Call me. You need to know some things." I called Rachel. She answered immediately. "Megan, oh my God, Megan, I'm so sorry." "What do I need to know?" Rachel hesitated. "Are you sitting down?" "Just tell me." "It wasn't just 3 months. I saw them together 6 months ago at that restaurant downtown. They were holding hands across the table. I thought maybe I was seeing things, so I didn't say anything. But now, 6 months. Mark had lied about that too. Or maybe he'd just lied about when it started getting serious. Either way, it had been going on for at least twice as long as he'd admitted. "There's more," Rachel said. "Jessica told me 2 months ago that she was falling for someone. She wouldn't tell me who. She said it was complicated because he was married. I told her to end it. I told her she was going to destroy someone's marriage. She said she couldn't help how she felt." "She told you she was sleeping with a married man and you didn't think to warn his wife." "I didn't know it was Mark. I swear, Megan, I had no idea. If I'd known, I would have told you immediately." I hung up. I couldn't deal with Rachel's guilt on top of everything else. Kate handed me a cup of coffee. "What did she say?" "It's been at least 6 months, and Jessica told Rachel she was seeing a married man but didn't say who. So she knew exactly what she was doing. This wasn't some accident or moment of weakness. She made a choice to pursue your husband." I drank the coffee even though it burned my tongue. I needed something to ground me in reality because this all still felt like a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. My phone rang. "Mark." I didn't want to answer it, but Kate nodded at me. "Answer it, but put it on speaker." I answered. "What do you want?" "Meg, we need to talk." "Can I come over?" "No." "Then can you meet me somewhere? We need to discuss what happens next." "What happens next is I file for divorce." "Don't be hasty. We've been together for 12 years. That has to count for something." It did count for something. Right up until I found you in the shower with Jessica. It was a mistake. I never meant for you to find out like that. "Oh, so your only regret is that you got caught?" "That's not what I meant." "Then what did you mean, Mark? Explain it to me. Explain how sleeping with my best friend for 6 months was just a mistake." Silence on the other end. "And how did you know it was 6 months?" "So you lied about that too. It wasn't 3 months, it was 6. What else have you lied about?" "Meg, please, I love you. What Jessica and I have is not real. It's just physical. You're my wife. You're the one I want to be with." I laughed. It came out bitter and harsh. "You want to be with me. Then why were you with her?" "I don't know. It just happened." "Things don't just happen, Mark. You made choices. Every time you called her, every time you invited her over when I wasn't home, every time you touched her, kissed her, slept with her, those were all choices. I know, you're right, and I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. But we can fix this. We can go to counseling. We can work through it. I don't want to work through it. I want you out of my life. You don't mean that. I mean every word. I'm filing for divorce. My lawyer will contact you next week. Megan, wait. I hung up. Kate was looking at me with something like pride. That was good. That was really good. I feel like I'm going to throw up. That's normal. Do you want something to eat? I can't eat. I can't sleep. I can't think straight. How am I supposed to function like this? One day at a time, 1 hour at a time if you need to. Right now, you get dressed. We're going to a lawyer's office. Kate had already called ahead and made an appointment with a divorce lawyer named Patricia Chen. We sat in her modern downtown office at 10 a.m. on a Friday morning, and I told her everything. Patricia took notes, asked questions, and didn't show any emotion. Do you have proof of the affair? Patricia asked. So I saw them together, in my house, coming out of the shower. Any photos? Text messages? Emails? No, I just saw them. That might be enough, but it would be better if we had documentation. Does your husband have any emails or messages on a shared computer? We have a home computer we both use. I have his passwords. Good. When we're done here, go through everything. Email accounts, social media messages, phone records if you can access them. Screenshot everything and send it to me. Is that legal? In this state, it's a gray area. But we need evidence if we want to prove adultery. It will affect the divorce settlement. I don't want his money. I just want out. Patricia looked at me over her glasses. You say that now. But you've been married for 12 years. You're entitled to half of everything you built together. Don't let your emotion make you give that up. After the meeting with Patricia, Kate drove me home. I sat in front of the computer and logged into Mark's email. It felt wrong, invasive, but not as wrong as what he'd done to me. The emails were all there, months and months of them, starting from 7 months ago. The first one was from Mark to Jessica. It was good seeing you today. I can't stop thinking about you. Jessica's response, me too. But we can't do this. You're married to my best friend. Mark, I know, but I can't help how I feel. Jessica, neither can I. And then it escalated. Meeting for coffee, meeting for lunch, meeting at hotels. The emails got more explicit. They talked about when they could see each other next. They talked about what they'd do when they were together. They talked about me. One email from Jessica. Does Megan suspect anything? Mark's response. No. She's clueless. She trusts both of us too much. That one hurt worse than all the explicit ones. They joked about my trust. They laughed about how easy it was to fool me. I screenshot everything and sent it to Patricia. Then I went through Mark's social media messages, more of the same. Photos they'd sent each other, plans they'd made, lies they'd coordinated. There was a whole conversation about the key. Jessica. She offered me a house key. Should I take it? Mark, definitely. It'll make it easier for us to see each other. Jessica, I feel guilty. Mark, don't. She wants to help you. Let her help. They'd manipulated me. They'd used my kindness and my trust against me. I'd offered Jessica that key out of genuine concern for her safety during her divorce, and they'd turned it into an opportunity to betray me more easily. I sent everything to Patricia. Then I changed all the locks on my house. Then I called a locksmith and had him come out that afternoon to install new locks on every door. I didn't want Mark's key to work anymore. I didn't want him to be able to walk in like he owned the place. Because after what he'd done, he didn't own anything. Not my trust, not my forgiveness, and soon not half my house either. While the locksmith worked, I went through the house and collected everything that belonged to Mark. His clothes, his books, his collection of vinyl records, his golf clubs. I put it all in boxes and stacked them in the garage. Then I texted him, "Your stuff is in the garage. Pick it up this weekend when I'm not home." He tried to call, I didn't answer. He texted, "Can we please talk about this?" I didn't respond. Jessica tried to contact me through mutual friends. She sent them messages to pass along to me. Tell Megan I need to explain. Tell Megan I never meant to hurt her. Tell Megan I'm sorry. I told all our mutual friends the same thing. If they wanted to maintain contact with Jessica, that was their choice. But I didn't want to hear about her. I didn't want updates on how she was doing. I didn't want to know if she was sorry or sad or regretful. She'd made her choices. Now she could live with them. Some friends chose Jessica. They said I was being unfair, that I should at least hear her out. I blocked them. If they couldn't understand why I didn't want to talk to the woman who'd slept with my husband, then they weren't really my friends anyway. Other friends rallied around me. Rachel, despite my anger at her on the phone, showed up at my house with wine and pizza. "I know you're mad at me," she said, "but I'm here anyway. You shouldn't be alone." Like, Kate practically moved in. She stayed with me every night the first week, sleeping in the guest room, making sure I ate, making sure I didn't spend all day crying in bed. "You need to get out of the house," she said on day 5. "You need to do something normal." What's normal about any of this? Nothing. But you still need to live your life. You still need to go to work, see people, exist in the world. I can't face people. Everyone knows what happened. They'll all be staring at me, pitying me. So what? Let them stare. Let them pity you. You didn't do anything wrong. But it didn't feel that way. It felt like I'd done something wrong by not seeing it, by not knowing, by trusting too much. I went back to work the following Monday. I worked in marketing for a tech company. My boss had been understanding when I'd called in sick for 3 days. "Take all the time you need," she'd said. But I couldn't take forever. I had bills to pay. I had a life to rebuild. Walking into the office was hard. People looked at me with sympathy. A few came up to me and said they were sorry. One woman I barely knew told me, "Men are trash. You're better off without him." Maybe I was, but it didn't feel that way yet. I threw myself into work. Projects, meetings, deadlines, anything to keep my mind off Mark and Jessica, anything to fill the hours so I didn't have to think about the fact that my husband was probably living with my ex-best friend now. Patricia called me 2 weeks after our first meeting. "I've reviewed everything you sent me. We have a strong case for adultery. In this state, that means we can potentially get you a better settlement." I told you I don't want his money. And I'm telling you, you should want it. You're entitled to it. Don't let pride make you give up what you deserve. She was right. I knew she was right. But the idea of fighting over money with Mark felt exhausting. "There's something else," Patricia said. I did some digging. "Your friend Jessica, she's pregnant." The world tilted. "What?" 3 months pregnant. She posted about it on a private social media account. One of my paralegals found it. 3 months. The same amount of time Mark had initially claimed the affair had been going on. "Is it Mark's?" I asked, even though I already knew the answer. "I can't say for certain without a paternity test, but the timing suggests it's possible." I hung up and stared at the wall. Jessica was pregnant, possibly with Mark's baby, the baby I'd never been able to give him. We'd tried for years to get pregnant. Fertility treatments, specialists, everything. Nothing worked. It had been one of the biggest sources of the pain in our marriage. Mark had wanted kids desperately. I'd wanted to give him kids desperately. And we'd mourned together when it became clear it wasn't going to happen. And now Jessica was pregnant. I called Kate. "Jessica's pregnant." "Oh, Megan, I'm so sorry. It's probably Mark's." "You don't know that for sure." "It's been 3 months. The timing matches. Of course it's Mark's." "Even if it is, that doesn't change anything. He still betrayed you. She still betrayed you." But it did change things, because now Mark had what he'd always wanted, a baby, just not with me. I went through the next few weeks in a fog. Work, home, sleep, repeat. I stopped answering my phone unless it was Kate or my lawyer. I stopped checking social media. I stopped going to places where I might run into people who knew Mark and Jessica. 1 month after I'd caught them, Mark showed up at my house. He rang the doorbell at 7 p.m. on a Tuesday. I opened the door but didn't let him in. "What do you want?" "We need to talk. About the divorce, about everything. Talk to my lawyer." I want to talk to you, please, Meg. Just give me 5 minutes. Against my better judgment, I let him in. We sat in the living room like strangers. This man I'd been married to for 12 years felt like someone I didn't know. Jessica's pregnant, he said. I know. It's mine. I assumed. I'm sorry. I know that must hurt. I know we tried for so long to have a baby, and now you're having one with my ex-best friend. Yeah, Mark, it hurts. Everything about this hurts. I never meant for any of this to happen. Stop saying that. You keep saying you never meant for it to happen, but you made choices. You chose to start something with Jessica. You chose to continue it. You chose to bring her into our home, into our bed. You chose all of it. You're right. I did. And I'm sorry. But I can't undo it now. Jessica's pregnant. We're going to have a baby. And I need to know if you're going to make this divorce as difficult as possible. I stared at him. You came here to ask me to make the divorce easy. You've been cheating on me for months. You got my best friend pregnant, and now you want me to do you a favor? I just thought. You thought what? That I'd be understanding? That I'd make this convenient for you after everything you've done? I thought maybe you'd want to move on too. Don't you want to be done with this? Of course I want to be done with this. But that doesn't mean I'm going to make it easy for you to run off with Jessica and play happy family. So you're going to fight me on everything? I'm going to take what I'm entitled to. This house. Half your retirement, half of everything we built together. You don't get to destroy our marriage and then walk away with everything? Mark stood up. Fine. If that's how you want to play it. That's how I have to play it. You made the rules when you decided to cheat. He left. I locked the door behind him and leaned against it, my heart pounding. I'd been strong. I'd stood up for myself. But inside, I was falling apart. The divorce proceedings dragged on for months. Mark fought me on everything. The house, the savings, the retirement accounts. He claimed he needed money to support his new baby. I claimed I needed money to rebuild my life. We ended up in mediation, sitting across a table from Mark and his lawyer, while my lawyer argued for my interests, felt surreal. This was the man I'd promised to love forever, and now we were fighting over who got the coffee maker. My client is willing to buy out Mrs. Foster's share of the house, Mark's lawyer said. He'd like to keep the property. Absolutely not, Patricia responded. Mrs. Foster has lived in that house for 8 years. She has no intention of leaving. My client needs a stable home for his child. My client needs a stable home, period. She's the wronged party here. She shouldn't have to give up her home because Mr. Foster couldn't keep his vows. It went on like that for hours, back and forth, arguing over money and property and things that had once meant something, but now just felt like weapons. We finally reached a settlement. I got the house. Mark got most of the retirement accounts. We split the savings and the investments. It wasn't perfect, but it was done. 6 months after I'd caught them, the divorce was finalized. I was officially single. No longer Megan Foster, married woman. Just Megan Foster, divorced woman who'd been betrayed by the two people she trusted most. Jessica had her baby 2 months after the divorce was final. A girl. I heard about it through mutual friends who still talk to both of us. They sent me messages saying they thought I should know. I didn't want to know. I didn't want to hear about Jessica's perfect baby with Mark. I didn't want to see photos or hear stories about how happy they were. But the messages kept coming. They named her Emma. She looks just like Mark. They seem really happy together. I blocked everyone who sent me updates. I was done hearing about them. I was done letting them take up space in my head. A year after I'd caught them, I ran into Jessica at the grocery store. I turned the corner in the produce section, and there she was, standing in front of the tomatoes with a baby carrier strapped to her chest. She saw me at the same time I saw her. Her face went pale. The baby started fussing. Jessica bounced slightly, trying to calm her, but her eyes never left mine. Megan, she said, hi. Jessica, how are you? How do you think I am? I know, stupid question. I've wanted to talk to you for so long, to explain. There's nothing to explain. You slept with my husband. You got pregnant. You ruined my life. What else is there to say? It wasn't like that. What Mark and I have, it's real. It's not just about the affair. We fell in love. I laughed. It came out harsh and bitter. You fell in love. How romantic. And you didn't care at all that you were destroying my marriage in the process. I did care. I felt terrible, but I couldn't help how I felt about him. You could have walked away. You could have told me. You could have done 100 things differently, but you chose the most hurtful option possible. The baby started crying louder. Jessica bounced harder. I'm sorry, Megan. I really am. I never wanted to hurt you. But you did hurt me. You took my husband, my trust, my friendship. You took everything and you didn't look back. That's not fair. You don't know how hard this has been for me, too. Hard for you? You got everything you wanted. You got Mark, you got a baby, you got the happy ending. How exactly has this been hard for you? Everyone judges me. All our friends took your side. My family won't talk to me. Mark's family won't talk to me. We're completely alone. Good. You should be alone. That's what happens when you betray people. I walked away, left my cart in the middle of the aisle, and walked out of the store. I sat in my car and shook, seeing Jessica with that baby, hearing her try to justify what she'd done. It brought everything back. I drove home and poured myself a large glass of wine, then another, then another. By the time Kate called to check on me that evening, I was drunk and crying. She said it was hard for her, I told Kate. She actually said this has been hard for her, like she's the victim. She's delusional. Don't listen to anything she says. She had the baby with her. Mark's baby. The baby that should have been mine. Oh, Megan, I'm so sorry. Why couldn't I give him a baby, Kate? Why couldn't I be enough? This isn't about you not being enough. This is about Mark being a cheater and Jessica being a terrible person. But it felt like it was about me. It felt like I'd failed somehow. Like if I'd been a better wife, a better friend, maybe none of this would have happened. The second year after the affair was harder than the first. The shock had worn off. The anger had faded. What was left was just this deep, aching sadness. I threw myself into therapy. My therapist, Dr. Morrison, helped me work through the betrayal, the grief, the loss of identity that came with divorce. You're mourning multiple losses, she told me. Your marriage, your friendship, your sense of safety in the world. That's a lot to process. I just want to feel normal again. What's normal? I don't know anymore. Not this. Not waking up every day and remembering that the person I trusted most betrayed me. It gets easier. Not quickly, but it does get easier. She was right. Slowly, painfully, it did get easier. The days got a little lighter. I started sleeping better. I started eating normally again. I started going out with friends, trying new hobbies, rebuilding my life piece by piece. 3 years after I'd caught Mark and Jessica, I went on my first date since the divorce. His name was David. We'd met at a work conference. He was kind, funny, nothing like Mark. I should tell you up front, I said over dinner on our first date, I'm divorced. It ended badly. I have some trust issues I'm working through. We've all got baggage, David said. I'm divorced too. My ex-wife cheated on me with her personal trainer. Wow, that's a cliche. Tell me about it, but I'm over it now, mostly. It took a while, but I got there. How long? 3 years. About the same as you, I'm guessing? Yeah, 3 years. And here we are. Two people who got cheated on, trying to figure out if we can trust again. Can we? I don't know, but I'm willing to try if you are. We dated for 6 months before I let him meet Kate. I needed to be sure. I needed to know he wasn't going to hurt me the way Mark had. Kate liked him immediately. He's good for you, she said after David left. He makes you laugh. I'm scared, Kate. What if this ends badly too? What if it doesn't? What if you spend so much time being scared that you miss out on something good? She was right. I couldn't let what Mark and Jessica did control the rest of my life. I couldn't let their betrayal keep me from trusting anyone ever again. David and I got serious. He moved in after a year of dating. It felt strange having someone else in the house that had been mine and Mark's. But David was patient. He understood when I needed space. He understood when I had bad days where the memories crept back in. "Do you ever see them?" he asked one night as we were making dinner together. "Mark and Jessica?" "Number. I avoid them like the plague." "Do you know if they're still together?" "I assume so. They have a kid together, but I don't ask and nobody tells me anymore. I made it clear I don't want to hear about them." "Do you ever wonder?" "Sometimes, late at night when I can't sleep, I wonder if they're happy, if what they did was worth it, if they feel guilty. And and then I remember it doesn't matter. They made their choices, I made mine. Their happiness or unhappiness isn't my problem anymore." 4 years after the affair, I got a Facebook message from Jessica. I'd blocked her everywhere, but she'd created a new account just to contact me. "Megan, I know you don't want to hear from me, but I need you to know that Mark and I broke up. We tried to make it work for Emma's sake, but we couldn't. Being together was a constant reminder of how we got together. The guilt ate away at both of us. I'm so sorry for everything I did to you. You deserved better. I was a terrible friend and I'll regret it for the rest of my life." I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me felt vindicated. They'd destroyed my marriage and it hadn't even worked out for them. They'd gotten their karma. But another part of me just felt sad. Sad that so much pain and destruction had been for nothing. Sad that little Emma would grow up in a broken home because her parents couldn't get past how they'd gotten together. I didn't respond to the message. There was nothing to say. Jessica's regret didn't undo the damage. Her apology didn't heal the wounds. Some things you just can't fix. I showed the message to David. "How do you feel about it?" he asked. And I don't know. Empty, I guess. I thought I'd feel something more. Anger or satisfaction or something. But I just feel nothing. Maybe that's growth. Maybe that means you've moved on. Have I, though? I'm still afraid to give people keys to my house. I still check your phone sometimes when you're in the shower. I still have trust issues. But you let me in. You took a risk on me. That's huge. He was right. I had let him in. Slowly, carefully, but I'd done it. I'd learned to trust again, at least a little bit. 5 years after catching Mark and Jessica, Kate got married. I was her maid of honor. Standing at the altar watching her marry the love of her life, I felt genuinely happy for the first time in years. At the reception, Kate pulled me aside. "Thank you for being here. For standing up with me." "Of course. You're my sister. Where else would I be?" "I know these past 5 years have been hell for you, but look at you now. You're with David, you're happy, you've rebuilt your life. I'm so proud of you. I couldn't have done it without you. That first week after I caught them, you stayed with me every night. You made sure I didn't fall apart completely. That's what family does. We show up. Unlike some people, I thought but didn't say. Unlike Jessica, who'd taken my trust and my house key and used them to destroy my life. That night, dancing with David at Kate's wedding, I realized something. I was happy, actually genuinely happy. Not the fake happiness I'd pretended to have in the last years of my marriage when things were falling apart and I didn't know it. Real happiness. "What are you thinking about?" David asked as we swayed to the music. "How grateful I am that you're not Mark." He laughed. "That's a low bar, but I'll take it." "I'm serious. Thank you for being patient with me, for understanding why I struggle with trust, for not giving up when things got hard. You're worth it, Meg. You always were. Mark was an idiot for not seeing that." 6 years after the affair, I ran into Mark at a coffee shop downtown. I was there meeting a client. He was there alone, looking tired and older than I remembered. He saw me and froze. Then, surprisingly, he walked over to my table. "Megan, can I talk to you for a minute?" "I'm waiting for someone." "Just 1 minute, please." I sighed. Fine. 1 minute." He sat down across from me. Up close, I could see he'd aged badly. Gray hair at his temples, lines around his eyes, a defeated slump to his shoulders. "I heard you're with someone," he said. "David, right?" "Yes, how did you—" "Mutual friends." I know you asked people not to talk about me, but they talk about you. Everyone says you're doing great. I am doing great. Good. That's good. You deserve to be happy. Was that all you wanted to say? No. I wanted to apologize, really apologize. Not the half-assed apologies I gave you when you caught us. A real apology. Okay, I'm listening. What I did to you was unforgivable. I betrayed your trust in the worst possible way. I took your kindness and your love and I threw it away for something that wasn't even real. Jessica and I, we couldn't make it work. We tried for Emma's sake, but every time we looked at each other, all we saw was what we'd done to you. The guilt destroyed us. I heard you broke up 2 years ago. We share custody of Emma now. We're civil for her sake, but that's it. What we had wasn't love. It was just attraction mixed with guilt, mixed with the thrill of doing something forbidden. Once we had to face reality, it all fell apart. I'm sorry your daughter has to grow up like that. Me too. She deserves better. But at least she's loved. Both of us love her, even if we can't stand each other. Is there a point to this conversation, Mark? Because my client will be here soon. The point is, I'm sorry. I destroyed the best thing that ever happened to me. You were a good wife. You were loyal and kind and trusting. And I took advantage of all of that. I'm sorry. I looked at this man I'd once loved, this man I'd promised forever to, and I felt nothing. No anger, no hurt, no lingering affection, just nothing. Thank you for the apology, I said. I accept it. But it doesn't change anything. What's done is done. I know. I just needed you to know that I know how badly I messed up. My client walked in. I stood up. I have to go. Of course. Take care of yourself, Meg. You too, Mark. I walked away from that conversation feeling lighter. Seeing Mark, hearing his apology, it gave me closure I didn't know I needed. He'd admitted what he did was wrong. He'd acknowledged the damage. And more importantly, I'd realized I didn't care anymore. He couldn't hurt me anymore. I told David about it that night over dinner. How do you feel about seeing him? David asked, and relieved. I realize I don't love him anymore. I don't hate him either. I just, nothing. He's just someone I used to know. That's huge. It really is. For so long, thinking about Mark and Jessica made me so angry I couldn't see straight. But today, I just felt sorry for them. They destroyed so much for something that didn't even last. Their loss is my gain, David said, reaching across the table to take my hand. I get to be with an incredible woman who knows what betrayal looks like and chose to trust again anyway. 7 years after I'd given Jessica my house key and come home to find her wearing my robe, David proposed. We were on vacation in Hawaii, walking on the beach at sunset when he got down on one knee. Megan Foster, I know you've been hurt. I know trusting someone enough to spend your life with them is scary. But I promise you, I will never betray that trust. I will never give you reason to doubt me. I will show up for you every single day for the rest of our lives. Will you marry me? I said yes. Because I'd learned something important over those 7 years. What Mark and Jessica did to me was terrible. It broke me for a while. But it didn't destroy me. I'd survived, I'd healed, I'd learned to trust again. And I wasn't going to let their betrayal stop me from having the life I deserved. We got married the following spring in Kate's backyard. Small ceremony, close friends and family only. No drama, no betrayal, no secrets. Just two people who'd been hurt before, choosing to trust each other anyway. And during our vows, David said something that made me cry. Megan, I promise to be worthy of the trust you're placing in me. I know how hard it was for you to get here. I know what it cost you, and I promise I will never take that for granted. I promised him honesty, loyalty, and communication, all the things my first marriage had lacked. At the reception, Kate gave a speech. I've known Megan her whole life. I've seen her at her best and her worst. 7 years ago, she went through something that would have destroyed most people. But she didn't let it destroy her. She picked herself up, rebuilt her life, and found love again with someone who truly deserves her. That takes courage. That takes strength. And I'm so proud of her. 8 years after the affair, I got an email from Jessica. Another apology, another attempt to reach out. This time, I didn't ignore it. I responded. Jessica, I appreciate your continued apologies. I know you feel guilty about what happened, but here's the thing. Your guilt isn't my responsibility. What you did was terrible, but I've moved on. I'm happy now. I'm married to an amazing man. I have a good life. Your apologies don't change the past, and they don't really matter to my present. I forgive you, not because you deserve it, but because holding onto anger was hurting me more than it was hurting you. I hope you found peace. I hope Emma is happy and healthy, but I don't want or need a friendship with you. That ship sailed when you took my house key and used it to sleep with my husband. I wish you well, but from a distance. Please don't contact me again. I sent the email and felt a weight lift off my shoulders. Forgiving her didn't mean forgetting what she did. It didn't mean being friends again. It just meant I was done letting what happened 7 years ago control my life. David and I talked about having kids. With his support, I went back to the fertility specialist. They told me the same thing they'd told me years ago. It probably wasn't going to happen naturally, but we had options: IVF, adoption, surrogacy. What do you want to do? David asked. I want to try. I want to see if we can make this work. But if it doesn't, I'm okay with that too, because I already have everything I need. You, our life together, our future. A baby would be wonderful, but it's not everything. We tried IVF. 3 rounds of it. It didn't work. It was disappointing, but it didn't devastate me the way it had when Mark and I were trying. Because this time, I had a partner who loved me, regardless of whether I could give him children. Should we look into adoption? David asked after the third failed round. Maybe, but not right now. Right now, I just want to be married to you and enjoy our life. Kids or no kids, I'm happy. And I was. Genuinely, completely happy. 9 years after catching Mark and Jessica together, I saw them both at a mutual friend's funeral. It was unavoidable. The friend had been close to all of us before the affair. I walked into the funeral home with David. Mark and Jessica were sitting on opposite sides of the room, nowhere near each other. Jessica looked tired and sad. Mark looked the same. After the service, Jessica approached me. Megan, thank you for coming. I know this must be awkward. It's fine. We're all here for the same reason. I heard you got married. Congratulations. Thank you. I read your email. From last year, I understand why you don't want contact. I just want you to know that I really am sorry. Not because I want your forgiveness or friendship, but because you deserved the truth back then and I didn't give it to you. I appreciate that. Emma asks about you sometimes. She knows you were my best friend before she was born. She doesn't know the whole story, but she knows we're not friends anymore. What do you tell her? That sometimes friendships end when people make mistakes, that I made a big mistake and lost someone important to me. That's a good way to explain it. Jessica nodded. I should go. Take care of yourself, Megan. You too, Jessica. I watched her walk away, this woman who'd once been my best friend, who I'd trusted completely, who I'd given my house key to. David put his arm around me. You okay? Yeah, I really am. It's strange, but I don't feel anything toward her anymore. No anger, no hurt. She's just someone I used to know. That's growth. That's survival. 10 years after I'd given my best friend my house key and come home to find her wearing my robe, David and I hosted a dinner party. Kate and her husband were there, Rachel and her wife, a few other close friends, people who'd stood by me through everything. We were laughing about something when Kate said, "Remember 10 years ago when we thought your life was over?" Kate, Rachel said, that's not funny. No, it's okay, I said, if she's right. 10 years ago, I thought my life was ending. I'd lost my husband, my best friend, my sense of safety in the world. I thought I'd never trust anyone again. I thought I'd never be happy again. And now? Kate asked, and now I'm happier than I ever was with Mark. I have a husband who actually deserves me. I have friends who showed up when things got hard. I have a life I built from scratch after everything fell apart. To Megan, Kate raised her glass, for surviving the worst thing that ever happened to her and coming out stronger. Everyone raised the glasses. To Megan. Later that night, after everyone had gone home, David and I cleaned up the kitchen together. Do you ever think about what would have happened if you hadn't come home early that night? He asked. Sometimes. If I hadn't come home early, I might not have caught them. They might have kept sneaking around. The affair might have gone on for years. Would that have been better or worse? I don't know. Worse in some ways because I would have wasted more time. Better in other ways because I wouldn't have had that image seared into my brain. Jessica in my robe, coming out of my shower with my husband. Do you wish you'd never given her the key? No, because if I hadn't given her the key, I wouldn't have learned who she really was. I would have gone on thinking she was my friend. At least this way, I found out the truth. Painful as it was, the truth set me free. That's a very Zen way of looking at it. 10 years of therapy will do that to you. We finished cleaning and went to bed. As I was falling asleep, I thought about the night 10 years ago, walking into my house and knowing something was wrong, hearing the water running, hearing Jessica's laugh, finding them together. It had been the worst night of my life, but it had also been the beginning of a new life, a better life, a life where I wasn't being betrayed by the people I trusted most. I gave my house key to my best friend, and I came home to find her wearing my robe. It destroyed my marriage. It destroyed my friendship. It destroyed the life I thought I had. But from those ruins, I built something better, something stronger, something real. Because here's what I learned. When people show you who they really are, believe them. When your trust is betrayed, you have two choices. Let it destroy you or let it teach you. I chose to let it teach me. I learned that trust is earned, not given freely. I learned that real friends show up in hard times, not create them. I learned that a marriage is only as strong as the honesty it's built on. I learned that sometimes the worst thing that happens to you is actually the best thing, because it removes the wrong people from your life and makes room for the right ones. I learned that you can survive betrayal. You can heal from it. You can learn to trust again. It takes time. It takes work. It takes being willing to be vulnerable, even when you're scared. But you can do it. I did it. 10 years ago, I gave my best friend my house key and came home to find her wearing my robe. Today, I'm happily married to someone who would never betray me. I have real friends who've proven their loyalty. I have a life I love. And I never ever give anyone my house key anymore. Not because I don't trust people, but because I've learned that some things, like access to your home, your marriage, your life, should be earned over time, not given freely in the name of friendship. Trust, I learned, is like that house key. Once it's misused, you can change the locks. You can start fresh, but you never forget what it felt like to come home and find someone where they shouldn't be, doing what they shouldn't be doing, with someone they shouldn't be with. That memory never fully goes away, but it doesn't have to define you either. It can just be a reminder to be more careful next time, to trust but verify, to love but protect yourself, to give people chances but not unlimited chances. 10 years later, I'm not bitter, I'm not broken, I'm just wiser. And honestly, I'm grateful. Because if I hadn't caught them that night, I might still be married to Mark, still thinking Jessica was my friend, still living a lie. Instead, I'm living the truth. And the truth, painful as it was to discover, really did set me free. So if you're reading this and you've been betrayed by someone you trusted, know this. You will survive it. You will heal. You will learn to trust again. It won't be easy. It won't be quick. But you will get through it. And one day, you'll look back on the worst day of your life and realize it was actually the day your real life began. That's what happened to me. I gave my best friend my house key. She betrayed me in the worst possible way, and somehow, 10 years later, I'm better for it. Not because betrayal is good, but because surviving it, healing from it, and building something new from the ashes, that's powerful. That's transformative. That's proof that you're stronger than anything life throws at you. I gave my house key to my best friend. She wore my robe. She slept with my husband. She destroyed my life, and I rebuilt it better than before. That's my story. That's my truth. And that's how I learned that sometimes the worst betrayal leads to the best transformation. 10 years later, I'm finally at peace with all of it. The pain, the healing, the journey from broken to whole. Because I learned something important along the way, and you can't control what other people do. You can only control how you respond. And I chose to respond by becoming someone stronger, wiser, and more careful with my trust. But I didn't let what happened make me bitter or closed off. I still love, I still trust, I still give people chances. I just don't give them my house key anymore. Not unless they've really truly earned it.